Good evening and welcome to the Petaluma Community Access Board of Directors meeting for Tuesday, November 18, 2014. And would the secretary please call the roll?
Cindy Thomas.
Here.
Kathy Rivas.
Here.
Neil Fishman.
Here.
Rachel Moran. Mark Jaramillo.
Hill. Here. Freudian slip.
And I'm here. Tim Williamson.
Okay.
Is it?
We have a quorum, which is good. And I still have a little respiratory, so I'll try and keep a voice through the whole meeting. We have no public comment, unless, was Nellie gonna...
No, I'm gonna get her now for the director's comment.
Okay. So while John goes to get our new employee, is there any board of directors comments or announcements? No. All right. Then we'll wait for John to come back and introduce Nellie. For now, while we're waiting, everybody's had a chance to look at the agenda. And is there any modifications we need to make here? This should be a pretty quick meeting.
Yes.
Okay, can I get a motion to...
I'll move.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is anyone opposed to approving the agenda? Okay, stepping back to Board of Directors comments and announcements.
Yes,
John has...
I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce Nellie McGee, our new employee.
Hello again.
Membership coordinator and covering the front desk and working really well with us, filling in the gaps, and I've got other reports that'll give you an idea of what she's been up to.
Okay, you can... Do you want to save that for Executive Director's report?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
there's
good.
a lot of stuff going on.
Good.
But if you had any questions,
right.
you want to say hello?
Well, welcome, Nellie.
Thank you. Thank you. I've enjoyed being here so far.
Good.
And I'm happy to see that you're on to the membership.
Have you met
List.
everyone here?
On the way in,
I think we may have met
Well, tell her who you
at
are.
Neil Fishman, and I thought we met a few weeks ago, but maybe not.
It's possible. You know, Mark?
I met Mark. I said hello.
introduce you.
Are you enjoying the job? Everybody's nice.
Yes. Very much so.
Yeah, but you haven't met us yet,
Yeah.
you know.
We'll plug John's ears. You can say the real thing.
Yeah.
Nellie's still going to school, get a degree in administrative assistance. So,
You need a degree for that?
Well, there is a degree. For
Okay, good. Don't tell my boss, because I've been doing it for a lot of years.
and do you have any questions for us?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Do you make videos too? Are you interested in videos? And
I haven't,
program
other than
editing?
my kids when they were little.
Just curious.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's something I'll learn a little
Get
bit of anyway.
interested in as you go along.
Yeah. My son has said he wants to make movies, so he might start coming around.
Oh, cool.
That'd be great.
We're glad you're here.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Okay, that's
Okay.
we can move on.
It was painless.
So far, so good.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Thanks for being here. Okay. Thank you for that, John. We have no other announcements, I believe. Approval of minutes. There's minutes that were sent to you for the October 21st, 2014 meeting. And unless anybody has any corrections to make, can we get a motion to approve?
I have a correction in there. Gosh, I didn't have time to get in touch with you this morning, but when I was getting ready to go down for the check signing card, I thought we needed to be a little more specific with the action on
What
the
number?
check signing. That would be new business C.
Did I forget to?
Well, you said Thomas, Moran, and Trent added, but Thomas was already there, and Neil wasn't, and I thought we should say that Pearson was removed. So here's what I did to
Oh,
take to the bank.
that's-
I took
no.
this to the bank, that version.
That's fine.
Yeah, so we'll just update
Yeah.
that
Okay.
if that's
I don't know.
acceptable.
Yeah. I
You
don't
can
know
keep
why.
that. Here.
Oh, but yeah, thank you.
Keep that.
I will keep it. Thanks.
Okay, so with the one modification, can we get a motion to approve?
Move it.
Approved.
I
Second.
should have said correction, not a modification. Okay,
Second.
first, second, you,
Approved.
okay.
And do I need to abstain, seeing I was not here for the meeting?
Do you want to abstain? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we have, yeah, we have a quorum of 4. You can.
Okay.
All right. Anyone opposed? Okay. So we've got the minutes approved. And the treasurer's report. Are you ready for that?
No,
Sorry. Do it anyway.
I got the
With the help of
stuff,
John.
and then for some reason I deleted it before I looked at it. So
Oh, you got it.
I can't even pretend I know what's in it like I usually do. I don't know, how is it, John? Are we still looking good?
We're still looking good. We are saving a lot of money with Zach's absence because he was budgeted pretty high with a lot of hours. I could jump ahead to one of my report items to say that we've been moving forward with the annual review and tax returns. I think we're about done. It's been very smooth. There were 2 things that came up. I don't know if they'll be findings, but the restricted account, we have 2 accounts at Summit State Bank. One's temporary restricted and the others are operating. And the temporary restricted was created for when we sold the trailer. And then we sold a few other, maybe $400, $500 worth of equipment. But I've been putting the carryover, the excess carryover, I've been putting into that account. And clarified that that's not exactly the best way to do it. So I think we should probably, I like taking the carryover out of our operating budget, so I have more of a real number based on what's coming in. And it's a good rainy day savings account. There isn't really a point in creating a savings account because there's no real interest gain. So I may create a 3rd account for carryover savings.
I mean, this is currently $3,000 a month, right? I mean, this balance shows we had a surplus of $3,000, right?
No, it comes it would be in the June,
Right,
it would be in the July financials for June.
right.
When we see that we got through the year and I had 15,000, I had 20,000 the first 2 years ago, so I moved 15 into the savings. This year I moved 10,000.
So is that the same as the capital fund or not?
No, the capital fund is held by the city, and I believe we have about 45,000.
Right.
So
So how much is in that account now, the surplus account?
the surplus account is now holding $45,421.
That's significant money.
Yeah, and 25 of that is carryover that I was parking there, that I was advised that it'd be cleaner to do it differently. And that's because he really is reading it as a the sale of the equipment is a temporarily restricted account that would require board approval to use.
What, are there specific restrictions on that account? I mean, does it have to go back into capital
It would
funds?
probably be capital funds,
Because it came out of there originally?
because it was generated from capital that we sold.
Yeah, but the city said that they didn't want it back, right?
That's just the city bookkeeping. They didn't want to deal with any extra money.
But are they monitoring that 25,000 at all?
I don't believe, no, not at all. It's our
Yeah, the
account.
25,000 is not, we're just talking about this, what was it, 20,000 or a small amount of money that went in there from the sale
Yeah.
of capital? But was that generated from the capital funds that we had originally gotten from the city, the 100,000?
Yes. We took money from the city, bought a big trailer, sold it at a loss.
So
The money that
you're
we
not
got-
going on the principle that once spent, even if returned, you feel it still has the same character as it always had?
Well, that's debatable now, because when I did it, when we created it, must have been 4 years ago, I was worried about the fact that we didn't have any replenishment plan for our capital expense fund. But if you look carefully at our contract with the city, the DIVCA contract, we're never going to have a problem with capital money.
Right.
The problem's going to be something else.
Right.
So it might be, what I would like to do is I would like to sit down with the Torkelson people and see if we could reassign that money as operating.
Okay, let me just see if I got this clear. Okay, so in the restricted account right now is 45,000. How much?
45,500.
Okay, I'm rounding it
Okay.
off. And then the amount that was originally restricted from the sale of the truck and the other items came to
20.
Okay, I got it reversed. Okay, so it's 27.
2,500.
20,000.
20,000. Oh,
20,500
Okay.
is
Right.
generated from
Right.
sale. of
So
the
you'll
truck.
leave that in, why, would you consider just putting that into the capital account, or you want to,
The
it should,
city didn't want to take it.
didn't want to take it?
That's what
okay.
created
Oh, that's right.
So
Okay,
roughly
gotcha.
25,000.
exactly 25. I rounded. I took 15,000 2 years ago and 10,000 this year, and I just moved it out of our operating.
Okay.
So it makes sense what you're doing. You're going to keep some in a semi-restricted account that we'll have to decide at the time how broadly we can interpret that money, and you'll put other surpluses into a surplus account that's not part of our operating account.
Yes,
Gotcha.
So you're going to be opening up a third account now.
I'd like to. I mean, there's no rush. I'm going to
And will
talk-
that be just a
that'll be
savings?
a savings.
Savings.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what the 25.
Get 25.
Right.
Okay.
And that money can be used for
Anything.
anything that we might need it
It's a
for.
good rainy day fund.
Yeah. And then the other thing that we need to do this year or in this coming fiscal year is we really need to establish a true inventory and depreciation schedule. I started doing that, and I talked to Zach about it. I think we have to start from the top and work down, see what's in the building and what we're using, mark that, go to the storage units. We've tried selling things, it's just not cost effective with shipping, with staff time, with the prices for the old equipment. So there could be a big donation to a nonprofit, there could be, a garbage can, we could maybe
How
do
about a garage
I
sale?
was going to get there. A garage sale could be fun. But I really want to just triage, serious triage. Keep what's good, keep what's, backup stuff, and really lighten the load, which will take a big chunk out of the, what it is, it's the assets, the depreciation schedule. We have equipment there from 2003, we have equipment that we're not using.
Is it all pretty much obsolete, you think? Like the 03 stuff?
It's either obsolete or it would require more repair. It would cost more to repair it than it would be to buy a new camera.
So I'd suggest that if we do liquidate that stuff that didn't come from a capital account and that could be put back into the rainy day fund rather than the capital, or rather than our new, quote, capital fund would be the way to go, I
Yeah.
think.
I think so too. And that's a distinction I want to be clear with Torkelson when I make.
Okay.
That's it from my end of the.
Is that anticipated that you'll be able to try and make that happen within the next 6 months?
It's contingent on the next hire, which I'll be discussing
Okay.
shortly.
Okay.
It could, it's just like we need to know what we've got in the building and is being used, and get a good listing of it, and then go look through everything else and only keep what we absolutely need. Just even just the file cabinet has material that goes back to the 90s. Do we need to be keeping that? Old check requests from 1998. I don't think we do. But it's the time investment to go into that storage unit, and you have to look at it and think about each piece of paper practically. So I haven't been able to do it, but I think this could be a good project for the next year. And looking at the depreciation schedule, I could just smell that maybe a quarter of it is valid, and the rest we could liquidate.
Can we spend some of the money to fix these lights?
So they don't flicker?
Yeah,
Yes, we could.
that is kind of annoying. What's making it do
It's
that?
the ballast. Is
Yeah,
it?
they're neon, and if you got to spin one, or
Yeah, well, that one was flashing too. It was flashing last meeting. Okay.
Okay.
If there's no other questions on the treasurer's report, we'll move to the executive director's report, John.
Okay. Just get my notes straight. So. Well, you've met Nellie. I had her on my director's report, but we've met her. Chris Fisher took a training in WordPress. That's website design. He did it down at work, down on, what would it be?
Over where we
Next
had
to
our
the
retreat.
Fourth
Yeah,
Street.
where we had our retreat, exactly. He was a little disappointed because he knew more than most of the other students, so he kind of had to help the other students. But he made a contact with the teacher and is probably going to squeeze some more information out of him. We had a super visit with the Kenilworth class. I don't know if you saw the pictures on the Facebook, but we had maybe almost 20 kids and a number of parents who were accompanying them, and they were just wide-eyed and silly. They were all over the place.
They were a sharp group of kids. I was only there for about 5
Yeah.
minutes, but they seemed like a sharp group.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and they had questions. They had enthusiasm. The parents were, enthralled, and Mike was happy. And then Eric, who's been, an access assistant helping out, he's making his puppets for his own puppet show. And he had set this up as a little puppet stage, and they all wanted to get their hands in and play with it. So there's a potential summer class to work with Eric to make a puppet show. We invited the whole class we wanted to see if they wanted to help with the last parade, the Veterans Day parade. And 2 of them came, and at first I was a little worried because we had a full crew, and they kept asking me, what can we do? What can we do? So I said, talk to Zach. And finally, somebody had to leave, and somebody else took a break, and they hopped in and did the camera. And Zach came back and said they really did a great job.
Great.
2 young girls. So that was a thrill. That's what we do this for. We had a media class, or a guest visitor. Michael Brown came. We had 4 people sign up, and all 4 canceled.
Oh,
Oh,
So
no.
luckily Michael brought his father, and Dan Vilava, our guest instructor, was there. He's a friend of Michael's. And Chris said they spent 2.5 hours talking. So Chris loved it, and Michael and his father had a good time. But I think Dan was a little disappointed, and he started making comments about how we could do better outreach. But that happens. I've got my Art of Cinema lectures starting tomorrow night.
it's tomorrow
Friday.
night. Okay.
I plan on going.
Yeah. I'm getting all geared up and even a little nervous. We went out and bought 4 bags of popcorn, and then we managed to get an industrial-sized popcorn maker loaned to us by a friend of John Crowley's, and he came over with organic popcorn. So we're going to have plenty of popcorn.
What time is it?
6:30 at the Art Center.
Well, I'm not going to make the first 2, but I'm going to make the second 2.
Well, the second one is on different. I changed it.
Right.
Yeah, it's remarked. We're working with Dan Vilava for another set of Final Cut training classes. We may try to squeeze a Final Cut in before Christmas because we have one person who really wants it, and if we can get 2 more, then it's worth it. Otherwise, we'll postpone that because December just goes like that. And
How many classes is the Final Cut?
we've changed it now to 1 day, 6 hours on a Saturday, because we found that doing 3 2-hour classes, nobody made all 3, and it was just, and you lose momentum. So we've crunched it into 1 6-hour Saturday, and it was very effective. We had a full 4 people the last time. We also have a mini series of classes on how to make a movie with your telephone, how to upload to YouTube, and how to write a little script for short attention spans. But I think we're going to push it all off to January just because the outreach. I guess we're just kind of bruised by the Michael Brown no-show.
Well, that is kind of
Yeah.
bad.
And in holiday season, I think that's something we can anticipate. So I already mentioned the annual review and the tax returns. I've got 2 additional points that aren't on the agenda. we got 34 renewal letters out. And I have 2 for board members.
Ooh, I think I'm one of them.
I don't think you are.
I'm not?
Cindy is.
I don't remember.
Oh, yes, you are.
I don't remember
Cindy and
paying my way lately.
So Chris and Nellie worked out a letter. Can pass it around. We are going to have professionally printed envelopes and return envelopes prepared. We didn't this time, but the handwritten address is not a bad touch either. So that's a step in the right direction. She went back all the way to June to see who had expired through the summer. But, so we got 34 of these going out tomorrow. And last but not least, yesterday we got a letter from the FCC about our
my.
radio.
Just thinking about that.
Oh, about the radio?
This week.
Oh,
How many shows do you have on the radio? Or
Well, nobody's doing any radio shows on the on TV stations anymore. That's been kind of shut down. But we got a letter from the FCC, which is kind of complicated. They sent it to the 3 people who have conflicting applications: Petaluma, Sonoma, and Napa.
I got this.
And each one of us has an engineer attached to our applications. So
What do you mean conflicting?
the bandwidth, I mean the reach,
I
may
thought
overlap.
it's only 5 miles.
Yeah, I don't really understand this. I think it might be more of a quota, how close they want them to get. And we have 30 days to work it out with the other 2 to see if we do a time-sharing agreement. So,
And what does that actually entail? Does that mean that we have to share our time with each of them?
it would probably mean we'd get 2 days out of the week, or 2.5.
And the fight will start on who's
Yeah.
going to get prime time.
Yeah, this already happened to PCA. Everybody wanted
Yeah.
Friday night.
Well,
Um,
everybody wants the prime.
Now, we do have the option to, all 3 of us have the option to withdraw if things have changed and we want to withdraw. And I think if Sonoma withdrew, then Napa and Petaluma are farther apart, it might not be a problem. So that's kind of what we're hoping. Zach was going to reply and try to bring together a meeting.
Do we know where Sonoma's receiver or transmitter is, that is, and where ours will be?
Ours is going to be on the JC campus. I don't think it would go over the hill. I don't really understand the FCC requirement, but it was...
Is that because they think the frequencies will
overlap,
Override
and
each other?
Disruption to the neighbor.
Bleed over.
Yeah, bleed.
Because it's the same frequency everywhere they do this?
Yeah.
Zach is going to reply to the FCC or
No, he's going to try to reach out to the other 2 stations
and
and
find out.
try to have a meeting to see where we stand on this. But yeah, it does get a little sticky.
Do we do a test run? Do we have any kind of equipment to see what the range is?
Well, we have an engineer who can extrapolate from what we've got, and that's what Zach worked with him extensively.
Right, and the engineer will probably know better what the reasoning is around the FCC decision. There could be some technical boundaries that we're not aware of.
Well, his mission will be to find out what their status is so we can determine what our next move is.
The FCC calls it mutually exclusive applications. So, for low-powered, and I guess we could look that up. But the thing is, we've got to rally get the 3 of us in the same room and see where we stand on this.
Is that going to really be what we were looking at as something that we want to share and only be available 2 days a week or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, is that really
That's a good question. It needs to be
Something-
weighed. This happened to PCA before. We were linked up with Sonoma State and a religious group in Healdsburg. And I don't really understand how that reach would have come from one antenna, but maybe it was a higher power at that time. Now we're talking about a lower power that even in, with a transmitter on at the JC, I was told that even La Cresta might have trouble getting it. The golf course, that far west side. So I don't really understand the FCC's reasoning, but they're playing. They're determined. They're giving it away.
Is
so
there
they-
anybody who we can talk to at the FCC to understand?
No, I think our Gray Hartig, our engineer, can answer these questions, and I'm sure if Zach were here, he could answer better than I.
I mean, but is this something you can appeal to the FCC? And I mean,
Well, this is our 30-day period to not appeal, but to redefine our application to fit this. And, the infrastructure we would have to create to run the station for 2 days might not be worth it. And what are those days going to be?
Well, the thing that really needs to be determined is how much, what is the amount of usage for Napa and Sonoma? I mean, if they're only intending to use it 2 days a week anyway, then that might be advantageous to us. But then, everybody's going to want prime time. So.
And how does it actually work? Is there a big switch that you switch it over? Who switches it? And what if you miss it? And what are the constraints that go with it?
So if you're all getting together to talk, you're basically trying to find out if somebody else had changed circumstances and is
Yeah.
willing to.
If somebody wants to withdraw,
somebody's
that's
gonna withdraw.
that's the easiest next step.
who are the sponsors in Napa and Sonoma?
Maybe we could do simulcasts with them.
It's called the Gene Arnold Group Foundation. And the Sonoma one is Sonoma Charter School. But what Zach said about that was the Sonoma Charter School is just kind of a nonprofit umbrella for some local people in Sonoma who want to create a radio station. So Zach called the Sonoma Charter School and they didn't know anything about this.
Uh-oh.
They gave us a number and Zach talked to him. So Zach thinks that could be a problem. These might be the people who really want it the most. I don't know anything about the Gene Arnold.
Well, what do they want it for over the Sonoma Charter School? Is it about charter schools?
No, the charter
No, it's
school.
like-
No, it's not about charter schools at all. It's just they needed a nonprofit to make the application.
It sounds like private individuals doing business as the Sonoma Charter School. That's
Well,
what it
that
sounds
doesn't,
like.
doesn't sound kosher, does it?
No.
No.
So this needs to be explored.
I mean,
Make
the
it-
object is to give it to a non-profit organization so that what you do is for charitable purposes. What's the intent of this charter school group?
Well, I haven't seen their application, but I'm sure they had to define that in a way that would satisfy the FCC. So
And we have-
they may have found something, and they may
Okay.
have
That's fine.
a mission.
Yeah.
And we have to play nice with them because they could make it difficult
Yeah,
for
they
us.
could.
So Zach's gonna try and set up a meeting
Zach's
of
going to work on
the
that.
three.
And I'm going to be involved in that too.
Can I be involved too?
Sure. Yeah, you have
I
some
have history.
Yeah. Gravitas. And the Memory Institution.
And I also have federal mediation training.
Ah, that could be good. Yeah, I'll let you know. We got to move on this fast, and
Yeah.
so time sharing.
Okay,
I would just throw in one more thing: is we put forth the application before we got wind of the possibility of servicing other city councils. So maybe instead of spreading ourselves too thin, we might want to be one of the ones that withdraws. If it comes to a headbutting, oh, I want this day, I want that day, we'll just say we're going to concentrate on doing a good job for the cities.
No,
And is-
we're in television here. Don't give away our negotiating strategy.
Is that moving ahead?
I've
at
got
this
a,
point?
I've got a
Like, more on
agenda
that,
item
okay.
on that. But yes, it is.
Okay.
That's it for the directors.
Is that for your directors? Thank you. But you're not done because we're moving to old business.
And
There's no reports of committees, so moving to old business. Item 10A is discussion only of operational transition to new staff structure. So keep going,
Yeah.
John.
Okay, well, that's the most exciting one. With Chris and Ellie right now, we really came out smelling like a rose this summer. Chris is extraordinary. He's got a lot of enthusiasm. He has a large view. He wants to do a little bit of everything, and he's very flexible. He helped cover the front desk until we had somebody settled. And I've watched him and Nellie working together, if they could solve the problems just by deduction, and that process is going on. Like I said, the missing piece is the training camera inventory expertise. And I was hoping to cultivate that with Thomas, because he's in a position where he's in City Hall a lot, but he's not rising to that contribution. So I'm looking now at the next hire, which I would like to post right after Thanksgiving. And at the moment, I'm looking at trying to get a young tech wizard who needs to get some experience and build confidence. That's with the given margin I have within the budget for payroll. If something were to change in the programming department and Thomas moved off and started driving ambulances full-time, then I might look for somebody who would fill that position. Because what I'm seeing with the older demographic that we have now with Chris and Nellie, it brings us a different stability to the place. It's more service-oriented than can-do kind of.
Producer-oriented?
Yeah. Well, we need a producer. We need somebody who can mentor students, can teach cameras, can look at, can grab the right cable. And actually, this is the first job for this person would be to do the inventory triage, top to bottom, and clean up the equipment room. So that's basically what the infrastructure transition is at, and I'm really pleased. I didn't know we'd be so lucky with Chris and Nellie. Nellie is going to school. We'll see where that goes in the future, but she it's working out really well for her. It's not a high-stress job. I think she was worried about that, getting swamped. Because she's a single mother, and she's going to school, and so how to fit this into her life. But it's going great. I'm really thrilled.
Good.
I really didn't think about PCA at all for 4 days, and I didn't think I could do that in June or July or August. So that's a breakthrough. And the next hire will be, I'll be working with Thomas to try to figure out how much he can give in that job description. And then I think I'm going to really revise the job posting and really try to reach out to somebody who is just perfect for the job. Maybe leave the salary kind of a range depending on experience, so that we can adapt to who comes in.
Will that person be the one who is taking care of City Hall and doing that, or
No, Chris is taking care of City Hall.
Chris is doing that.
Yeah, and we've got a strong pool now of access assistants, more than we need for what we've got. But they're on call and they're integrated, so if we got the others, they could move. We will need more when we go to the others. But Chris has been managing that. He took that over from Mario very quickly. And what it involves is he gets emails from City Hall, 2 or 3 for each meeting. He has a calendar and he marks the meeting and he assigns an access assistant to it. And then he follows up to make sure that they're coming and it gets done.
So the access assistant is actually the one that is present at the time of the meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
they're the operators. And they are defined, and they have there's regular full-time, the only one, regular part-time, that's Nellie, Thomas, and Chris, and then there's temporary part-time, an on-call pool, and that's what we call access assistants. And right now we have 4 of them. Eric has been filling in a lot in the office, covering front desk, and he edits a lot. He'll be editing this. Editing is a big word for it. Putting titles on this, getting it ready for programming. Okay, that's it.
Okay, the next one is yours also. Discussion only of Rohnert Park and Cotati city contracts. What's the update?
Well, they are moving forward, but kind of in that mysterious City Hall manner. You never know when they're going to get around to it. But I haven't been in contact with both parties. Dave Rowley from Rohnert Park was preparing the initial letter I wrote. He had their business department prepare a in agreement, develop it to take it before the council. He had some modifications. They were thinking, right now they're using 2 operators to cover their city council meetings, which Dave thinks is more than they need, and I think is more than they need. And it's more expensive, but some of the people working on the contract were a little less confident that that was something they could forego. So he got back to me to give him another price if we were to send 2 operators at the same time. What would the price be for that? And then I was able at that point to crunch the numbers again and bump up our hourly rate on both from 1 and 2. So I sent back another letter of proposal. This time I signed and made it a hard copy for them. And we would be charging them $60 an hour for 1 operator and $90 an hour for 2. And I could get into the other details at a closed session, I'm sure, because it is a bargaining situation right now. The Cotati City, I did take back the board's suggestion that, I had proposed that 1, that Zach would help them buy and install everything, and 2, that they would get an outside contractor. And I thought that was a marvelous suggestion to have Zach help be kind of an interface between them and the outside contractor. So I communicated that to Tammy, and she appreciated it. But they're moving much slower. They haven't even they have to install the equipment, and then we worry about who operates it. And I think they just now decided who they would hire for their Granicus service. It's not the same as, it's not Granicus. They got somebody else.
What is that?
That's the it's the company that has the servers that saves the files from City Hall. So when we cover City Hall, we have a signal come in to our switcher, and we get the lower third on it, and it goes out to a box that sends it to Comcast and sends it off to AT&T. It also sends it to Granicus, which is a place it is stored. The city then links to the Granicus file, and the secretary will go through and write the time code for each agenda item and program it so that you go to the city website and you see the video. It's Granicus that's holding that video.
Mm-hmm.
We just produce it, and
They're just a server in effect.
yeah, they're basically a server, but really high-end servers and redundant to the nth degree, because this is document of record. So it's a big decision for a city council or city hall to decide who's going to do that.
Right. If you're interested in just one agenda item, you don't have to watch the whole video.
You click on the agenda
Right.
item and it jumps to that
Right.
part of the video.
Mm.
And I do believe minutes do come out, but much later. This is the document of record. So that's it for that. The moving along with those 2. Rohnert Park, he basically said that if the fastest he could think it ever happened would be for January. So we should know something soon if they want us in January. I did put a clause in there saying I want 30 days between the day they say we got the contract and the day they want us to perform it. So that'll give us time to train and beef up our access assistance.
Oh, I mean, all in all, I mean, we're doing just city council for Ronan Park, or
No, Rohnert Park would have city council, planning, and maybe 1 or 2 other meetings.
so like 10 hours a month, 20 hours a month.
14 or 16.
Yeah,
Yeah, it would be 4. I was factoring large, and I came up, I think, 14 hours. Possibly 20, if they had a lot of special meetings.
so it might bring us a profit of $4,000 or $5,000 a year, or something like that.
More.
More.
Yeah. And I do have the whole crunch sheet
Yeah.
that I'd be happy to run through. With
But it's
finance.
significant. It's worth doing, and
Yeah. It is a revenue stream that is not not negligible.
Yeah.
It's substantial. But it's also a higher level of responsibility, which would
Higher
shift our...
overhead, too.
Yeah, we don't want to drop the ball on those. So it would shift kind of how we operate. We would prioritize making sure that that's a solid thing. And when you've got 10 things to do and you can only manage 3, That's going to be one of the three. Every week.
I'd say 10% goes into the board party fund.
Is that the party at your house?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do you have a pool?
we get better wine this year.
Yeah. Well, you haven't. Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, that's on the agenda too.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
Okay, so then one more for you, John. Item 10C, discussion and possible action on PCA check signing rolls.
Well, here it is. We can all sign right now except for Rachel. Neil, you're on a separate page.
Okay.
Just sign above your name. And I can take this back to the bank, and Rachel can go in with her convenience and put her signature in there. So that's a done deal. Thank you all. It's good to have extra numbers to call. I am going to be training Nellie on the check
Where are you on here?
request
I'm not
and
in
signing
it.
process, so she can cover that. It's basically get the bills as fast as you can, get the request into adds up, prepare the check, get it signed twice and stamped and off.
Neil's not on here.
Yeah, that plate's right there. They didn't have it. They're not used to having 5 signers, so.
Perfect. Let's write checks. Let's write bad checks. Just kidding. All right.
That's it. I'll take that in tomorrow and then
Okay.
get Rachel's signature and we're off.
We lived through old business. Let's get through new business. Item 11A is discussion and possible action on board and staff retreat. And that's my item. And everyone here has participated in a retreat except for you, Mark. And so we were talking about earlier how we had our last retreat down at work on Kentucky Street. And we need to make plans now that we have our new board in place and figure out where we're going to hold our next retreat. You have ideas, Sean?
You know, I've been thinking about this because it dovetails with the the new staff structure, the new sense of operational priorities. We also have our renewal process with the city next November, and I think this, you know, starting in January would be a good time to really reset the clocks, revision exactly what PCA is going to be and how it's going to operate. So I was even considering inviting the staff to be part of it, or creating a way to get staff input that would come to our.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I don't think the whole day. I think maybe part of the day to have the staff, but
Well, I don't see it as a full day thing. The process I'm looking at would start with an executive committee. We would start to line up the priorities and options. We would start to brainstorm. I guess what I would hope it would generate would be a business plan that we could take to the city to, you know, I've got things I want to change in the way things are operating with them. But it's your retreat, so I'm just giving advice or
Just
shooting
as long
off
as
my
we
mouth.
don't do another drum circle like we did last year. God, that was awful. And those team building exercises. Oh. Just kidding, we didn't do.
You love that
Friends.
rope swing, right? Scaling that rope with everybody laughing at.
have you ever done ropes?
Yeah,
Yeah. Let's,
I don't think we need to do.
I don't think
No.
we need to do that either. Okay.
How about we go a field trip to this city? We'll go to KQED and have them show us around.
Yeah, field trip. There's an idea.
We need to get a firm date so that everybody is absolutely there, because we've had trouble with that in the
Yeah.
past.
Tim usually declines, but maybe we can tell him how much fun he's been missing.
Yeah. So, any ideas? Anyone?
So you want to do this in January is
So-
what you're saying, is that right?
Well, if we're gonna have
We've done it in February before, but I wanted to get it on the boiler so we can start thinking.
What is the retreat exactly? What is it? You're going to accomplish a business plan, or what is it?
it's our think tank.
Yeah,
And
So we talked a lot of
brainstorming.
fundraising last time we all
Yeah.
got together.
yeah.
And then we've just generally gotten to know each other better, gotten to
Yeah.
talk about, where we want to see any cool ideas any of us have, or, directions we think the place ought to take. And
Yeah, last
So
time
you
we
can do
hired.
it anywhere, basically? Or?
Yeah.
anyway. Last time we hired a consultant to come in and make a presentation, give us some kind of training. Back in 2006, no, 2008. I think we had one with a mediator because we had a lot of tension with different board members.
oh God, we're so laid back now. We could.
Yeah,
We could
the last, we've last two prior the training were at Neil's house, and it was a potluck. I created a public access Pictionary game. We had a ball.
We did that at my house. Pictionary, remember that?
That was with the staff. We had
Yeah.
a staff pool party.
You're always welcome to use our place again. This could be the last year because I think I'm going to dump that place.
Do it now while the
Really?
bottle's up.
It's too big. It's ridiculous.
Palace.
The palace. I got to dump the palace.
Well, I think we definitely
Okay.
need to either do it through an extensive board meeting, or we need to do it through a retreat where we are setting down where we're going and what we're doing and how we're going to get there.
Do you want to keep it
I-
a Petaluma thing?
I think that
Sorry.
that's okay. I think that the retreat that we did last time was great, but I think we did nothing with it.
Yeah. I agree.
So to me, that was kind of disappointing that we spent a lot of time and effort and money or whatever, and we really did nothing with it. So I would rather see us be on track as to where we think we're going to go and what we're going to do and how we're going to get there. And I think that's probably something we can do as a board ourselves, unless you think you need someone to come in to kind of encourage or whatever.
No, I don't think we do. I think what we need, my idea was to pull out well, we all have it in our, I got to get you a board binder with all the
Write that down.
original documents. Thank you, board binder. Because in the board binder, you have the agreement with the city. That's what's going to go up for renewal. We're charging them $12.50 an hour to do the city meetings here.
It
That's
should
gonna-
be more.
Yeah, I'd be charging 60 to Katari. I'm not worried about that because they're our lifeblood and the relationship is great. But even with the school board here, I'm charging them $16 an hour, and that's a reasonable fee. Also, the rhythm for the annual reports. I'm not supposed to deliver the annual report for the past fiscal year till this month. And I'm really in arrears on that because I've been so busy with the new year. And I've also forgotten what happened last year. So but the strategic planning wasn't due until May, but I've been doing that in February and March because that's when I start thinking about what's going to be the next year. And the budget helps to have it done then. So I would like to combine the two documents into one and have it due in May so that I'm finishing one year and starting the
And
next.
another.
Because if, it's really, this is what we want to do next year and here's the report card on what we wanted to do last year. And it's the same document. I may talk to Tim about whether I can forego this one that's due. They're not hard-nosed. And I think if two people in City Hall read it, I'd be thrilled. So, but it is a good, those kind of relationships with the city are important. They're very happy with us. We've,
We only want to keep compliant,
Yeah,
I mean, it seems.
especially with our contract coming up next year.
yeah, yeah. No, I will. It's just I just got back from vacations,
Yeah.
and it was a climb to get there. So, but
It seems to me that we've retreats have been either about fundraising, and there were great ideas, and you guys did great work. We just didn't follow through with our assignments, I think. But it's we're not hurting for money right now, but that's always a possibility that we want to bump up our reserve fund a little more, and possibly even bump up a little bit more so we can retain staff a little better with a little higher salaries. So that's not an easy place to get, and given what we bring in now. The other thing we want to do is try to bump up our presence in the community, have more people watch things, and maybe that means concocting some special presentations, something that's really interesting to the town, where we would get a lot of people to watch the channel once or twice in the year, because there's such special programs that we help get off the ground. So,
well, that's part of what John is doing with these 4 presentations. I mean, that is representing PCA.
True.
Even though it's happening at the Art Center, we're representing PCA, and that's certainly a plus.
Yeah, I agree.
And plus, that's a relationship that's now been forged and solidified, so that's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to launch each lecture with the same kind of. The reason you got this is free is because PCA exists, and PCA has a budget to pay me to prepare this to bring it to your attention. So supporting PCA is a way to keep these kind of events happening. And the Arts Council is struggling with the same issue. In fact, they have other concerns, because with the train coming in, they may have to move. But Val is a great one for exploring new ways to bring art to the people. So I think that's really been an exciting development. But the neat thing about PCA is we can make up what we want to do with the $200,000 we have each year, and we have a set of priorities. For the last few years that I've been here, the main priority was the people who walk in the front door and want to learn how to do it. And
well, with that thought in mind, I had one thought, which was on the fundraising. And I think it's important that you keep the fundraising up so we can stay relevant on the equipment.
Yeah.
And if we're relevant on the equipment, you're going to have more interest with the membership.
Yeah. And
that
dovetails,
moves fast, and it can get expensive, right?
Yeah, and it dovetails with a well-paid staff at a higher level than the young students who are learning and growing, and we struggle with. Means we got to deploy more money for that.
So the other thing that last time we talked about fundraising, it was around the sort of generally fundraising for PCA, maybe getting some $1,000 sponsors, on the to do their like Summit Bank has done, but we haven't thought about fundraising around a particular project that we might want to do. On the Sonoma Land Trust, where I'm a board member there also, they've always had their campaigns have always been around a particular region or specific piece of land or something they were doing, so they could go to their donors and say, look, we got, we're trying to raise $3 million to buy this piece of property, and there was some real urgency to that. I wonder if there were projects that we would want to do, either a documentary about the town or something that would get business people in town interested, and so that it could be fundraising with a specific purpose in mind, and the amount that we would raise, some of that I'm sure would shed off into our general purposes as well as the specific purposes of the because of overhead and things like that.
I always felt that the radio could have been that kind of, we needed so much money to make this radio work.
Right.
A showpiece.
I think the other thing, seeing that we have access to our own equipment, I just attended an event on Sunday that was held by the museum, and it was on Wine of America, and it was on Prohibition, and it was a documentary that they showed at the Mystic Theater, and then had a little event back at the museum afterwards. So I was thinking that might even be something that we could pursue, that could be like Neil suggested maybe some kind of a documentary of the city of Petaluma, and then have people come back here for an event afterwards. It was very successful, and I don't know what they put into organizing that, but and it was all underwritten by the Bancroft Library, so consequently it was free.
When I was still at Coastal Conservancy, this years ago, that we as a state agency helped sponsor a documentary that was run on KQED. I don't know if you probably saw it, Saving the Bay. It was a 4-part series on the whole movement to save San Francisco Bay, starting, in the Ayala expedition and all of that stuff. And it was really, Robert Redford did the narration for it. It was, we got a professional, or actually it wasn't our idea. It was this guy, producer's idea, who I guess was associated with KQED. And it was a brilliant job they did. It was very, great piece of history. So we're not set up to do major stuff like that, but at the same time we have skilled people here. We have a community that might really go towards stuff like that.
Well, given this discussion, so we probably could use the retreat to, come up with some kind of a plan. So
Yeah, plan is a big word. We take it day by day, but I've always had kind of an intuitive sense of a direction and a sense of balance and a criteria for feeling when I'm a little getting too far off track. And the priority from day one was longevity. Don't, stay close to home and don't take big risks. And also to privilege the members. Then gradually we've started exploring productions for hire. And if we were to get into serious relationships with 3 cities that would change the priorities drastically.
Yeah.
And also if with the staff structure, if it were to evolve to hire better paid staff, maybe we could get into production. Maybe we could create a TV show. I would have never said that 2 years ago, but now I'm thinking maybe that's how we can serve.
Actually, this is the first time I've heard you
Yeah.
respond positively to that
Yeah.
idea. It's not the first time it's been brought up.
No,
And we've always bought the fact that, it's tough to,
Times are changing.
times
well,
but it,
changes
change is good.
it's inevitable. So
That's what Zach said
Guaranteed.
just before he told me he's leaving. Change is good, John.
we could do our own version of Portlandia here, right?
Yeah.
Petalumandia.
Betalumandia.
There was an idea. Yeah, Petaluma. And Cindy, you have
Comedy's
an idea
tough.
for a show. And so maybe if we were
I like
to...
the real news you posted the other day.
The real news?
The Mike, the RT,
Oh.
unreported news,
Project Censored.
Project Censored type
Yeah.
of news show.
And we're actually collaborating with Project Censored, creating one of their Pledge Drive premiums. So it's good. It's a strong relationship. But where I was getting at was maybe PCA could incorporate that in a staff service, is that we could do the production for anybody who wanted to walk in here and do a talk show. Open up the Petaluma Argus Courier and start ranting.
Is that something you can charge for?
We could charge for it. It's really been more of a question of deploying our resources in that direction. And
They don't
since-
have to shouldn't just be limited to here. That person could also go out to somebody's business and do a highlight on Aquas Cafe or a highlight on...
yeah, so what we're doing is we're creating a TV show, a regular series that PCA would produce that would be something that could get a lot of traction, reach a lot of people, get them to turn on the TV station, something they didn't want to miss.
Stick it on YouTube.
Or
also.
accidentally saw and stuck
Yeah.
to it.
So, I'm open to reimagining the little box we're in, and I'm disappointed that we didn't raise the money. We spent the money to learn how to do, but I don't hold that as a negative. Maybe the negative is not that we didn't do it, is that we spent the money doing on something we weren't going to do. So I think honesty
Right.
is the best policy.
Right.
I really appreciate all the time that you bring to PCA. Don't want to make it a burden or a chore. It should be fun, productive fun. It's a nice little, with the Arts Council and or the Arts Center and Petaluma Community Access working together. We're here to spice up life in Petaluma.
Well, and we're going to get more people to watch.
Yeah.
Do you have a Nelson rating type of thing? You can see how many people
No,
are.
no,
You know
that's
what I
just
mean?
we're just not in the league to even pay for that. We've talked about ways that we could get a sense where we would have,
How many viewers?
if you had giveaways,
Oh, okay.
if people watching TV, if you call now, you could get this. And it's
Is that one way they would track them in the past?
That's one way we could extrapolate that if we got 5 calls, there might be 50 people watching. The proportion of who calls and who doesn't. That's one way. The only way we really know is if we have a sound problem on City Hall, the phone goes off. That tells us that there are people who are watching. But they may not know that we're, friendly people with a lot of ideas and it's a lot of fun. They just think it's a TV station they can get City Hall at. So that's always been
We're going.
That's really exciting to me.
As soon as Chris does more website work, he's going to put on there how for people to access AT&T first, because we have people who don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
It's a little complicated. You have
We
to
do know how
click
people that don't know
twice,
how to do it.
It's-
Scroll down
Right.
and you don't have a return button.
Wheel.
If you lose it, you got to go through the
Got it
whole
right
thing.
thing again.
It's channel 99 or something? You gotta
It's
get on there.
99, and then they have to pick Petaluma Community Access,
Right, right.
and then the channels. And there are people.
Oh, they just don't show up.
We discovered that at the help me, Marcia, that we went to at the community center.
The expo.
Expo, thank you.
Expo.
Oh, sorry.
The business expo. We had several people that came up to the booth and said, well, I don't know how to find you on TV. How do I find you? So we were writing down for people how to find us.
Could be a campaign.
That's an issue.
Yeah.
Could be a campaign in the works. Okay, so we need to do a calendar drill to see who's available when, but we need to decide what month. And so you're planning on doing the posting for your next
First week
position,
of December, I will post something.
and you
for the
hope
next
to have
week.
that filled by,
By Christmas. That would be my goal.
okay, so let's
First week, they
say,
could start in January.
let's say January 1st. So do we want to do a drill mid-January through mid-February and find out what
Yeah.
the availability is
Yeah.
that way? Okay, so
I would say early February might be the best to do now, because we could also work towards this with a kind of a questionnaire or some kind of survey to get ideas on paper that we would bring to this meeting.
okay, well, I can recall in the past when we tried to schedule this, we say, okay, let's start with the beginning of February and we book in March.
Okay.
So why don't we do mid-January
Got it.
and move forward from mid-January? What do you think?
It's okay with me. I
Sooner
know
better
I'm
for
not
me.
going to be.
It's okay with me, but
Really
I'm not. I
available.
know I'm not going to be
Well, you're
here.
already Burning Man in
The
February.
whole time?
Well, I leave January 22nd. I won't be back till February 17th.
Where are you going?
Maui.
No.
Well, let's do our retreat. We'll
That's
change-
fine.
we'll
Come
cha-
on. We
Okay,
can
when are
do
you
that.
going?
January 22nd to
To,
February 17th.
Can I put in an order for some Kona, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
are you leaving? Okay,
Should I lock the door behind
Yeah,
me?
just lock the door. And
thanks,
Night,
Nellie.
Nellie.
Is the black magic camera checked out by chance?
I don't think so, but I'm not sure. No.
it might be right there on that little counter. Is that the bottom?
Can I check it out?
No, that's not it.
No overtime.
Oh, sorry.
She's
All
gonna
right.
check.
Okay, so that kind of shoots our.
But if it works for everybody else, I'm only one board member, so.
No, I really, really, really would like to shoot for everybody there, especially.
How about the 20th?
January 20th is on the table. Going once.
So that's a normal board meeting.
What's
too.
usually January 20th?
Yeah, that is
New
our
Year's.
regular board
It's a
meeting.
January
regular-
20th is a Tuesday, okay.
Yeah. it's
Oh, so
already-
we're talking about how many hours?
It's not in the equipment room.
Okay.
The
Thank
computer's
you.
already shut down.
I think Nick came in and got it today.
Ooh, that guy loves that camera.
Okay.
Good night.
Have a good
Good
one.
night.
Thank you.
How many hours are we talking?
I would say 3 or 4 hours of work and then a meal and some schmoozing.
So if we do
I mean,
this on a
I'm still
Tuesday, I
thinking-
mean,
yeah, I'm
technically I work till 5:30.
Yeah, I'm
I'd
still
have to take
thinking of the
a,
weekends.
Weekend,
Weekends are more relaxed, I think.
Yeah.
Out of the box.
17th?
and
Is that too
I'll try to fix
soon?
that for you.
17th of January.
I'm serious.
I agree, and I'm gonna be,
I think more realistically is when Kathy gets back,
Okay.
personally.
I
Because
hate
Which
to be
is the
such a problem.
17th?
No, I'm not going to be available from mid-January until probably right around the 1st of February, a whole lot either. So,
okay. I'd
Not
rather
that I-
push it out and have everybody here.
February 21st.
Valentine's Day.
February 21st?
That's
That works for me.
What?
Valentine's Day is the 14th.
The 14th.
14th. Oh,
I'm telling Muriel what you did.
so February 21st is an option.
That works for me. I don't know
if
about
that
anybody
works.
else.
And I would see that as the culmination of a process that could start immediately
Is that
in
a weekend?
January with
Yeah,
an
Saturday.
I think
executive
so.
committee meeting, a
Let me
finance
look just to
committee
make
meeting.
sure.
We sort of bring the different aspects together. And it doesn't have to be a huge, shiny business plan, but it has to be kind of a shared sense of priorities and a buy-in. That we're all in this together to get to this, and here's some neat ideas. And by then, the staff should be anchored, and the city contracts should be, the other cities should be close to real. February 21st.
Okay.
Excuse me, you said you were back the 17th, Kathy?
Yes.
Wow. Will you be at that board meeting that Tuesday
Yes,
night?
I will. Mm-hmm. I have to work that day besides. Like, it'll be crazy, but I'll be here.
It's gonna be crazy for all of us. And then I've got the other crazy thing to deal with. We could do. Okay, so if we do it on a Saturday, you're saying 4 hours?
4 hours of
Solid work.
Solid work, and then 2 to 3 hours of hanging out with each other. I've always enjoyed that a lot. The meals are good, and it's got a great wine cellar.
Is that okay with everybody? Or
No, I don't. I've never been able to keep a bottle of wine longer than
Well, you fooled me. So,
all right, the 21st. Should we hold the 28th too, in case Rachel? Well, no, I think that's far enough in advance that Rachel could swing it.
yeah.
Okay, February 21st.
And we're going to talk about starting at 10.
Yeah, 10 o'clock's a good time to start. We can get right into, here's the plan, and or here are the options, or here are the...
Maybe 3.
And I'll try to
3 or 4.
think it through as to what pieces need to come. I mean, with Nellie and Chris, we could start to develop things.
I think it would be good to have Nellie and Chris come maybe at a time when we're going to talk about specific things that would relate to the functioning of the office. So if that's going to be from 10 to noon or whatever, or,
Yeah.
that they would only be there during that time, and then we would still be able to function
Maybe we
on
could
the
have a
other
late
things.
lunch with them.
Yeah,
We could have some pastries and stuff
in the morning.
in the morning to hold us until maybe 1 o'clock or so.
10 a.m. to 1 o'clock. We could call that our...
Then we can start drinking heavily.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, should we do it at my house so I don't have to drive?
It doesn't matter. Wherever.
I'm using Lyft
We
nowadays.
could do it
Lift.
over there at the work center again too, and then
I would rather go to Neil's house or Cindy's.
Yeah.
It's more relaxed. You can throw things at the wall.
I could open up my trailer out at my mom's on the back 40 and we could sit out in the pasture.
As long as it's not
Gaze out
pouring
the
down rain.
windows.
I think Neil's got the. You know Neil's place.
We could shoot guns and stuff out there, though.
Just
Just
shoot
kidding.
guns in his house.
I'm kidding.
So
Oh,
10 to
boy.
1, lunch from 1 to 2:30, and then charades or something. You know, something
10 to 1 is going to be work.
10 to 1 is work,
Okay.
lunch, and then play till, I would say, 3, 4. We could stretch it to 4 till he kicks us out. Let's put it there.
Okay. We got somewhat of a plan together.
Oakland would probably desert us though.
Okay, so
Okay.
maybe we should put this item on the agenda for the next
Keep
board
it on as an
meeting,
old business.
and
Shape
so we
it.
can start forming the agenda. Yeah.
Form the agenda, and I will talk to Chris and Nellie. It's not impossible that we could put together a survey kind of thing for the public in January, so we can get some data that came back to get a sense. I want to play with this as a way to.
The Bertucci ratings.
See what they want.
John, I think we should do another movie. We haven't done a movie since high school.
Yeah.
Maybe that should be the homework. Remember how we had homework at a couple of our retreats where everybody's got to come with a video this time instead of their favorite dish.
Well, one time we tried to have a video there, but nobody wanted to get in front of it and say anything. Yeah.
Just thinking, we do one of those $15,000 movies, and somehow it,
It generates.
it
We're going to have.
grosses $25 million.
The next spring meeting.
What's that now?
A PCA tent at the next Burning Man.
There you
Yeah,
go.
theme camp.
We'll put Mark in
Wow.
charge.
You guys.
Okay,
Okay.
I think that's it for that agenda item, which brings us to a close because we have nothing for closed session. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for being here.